Patch 12.1 is nearly here, so I wanted to run through 10 tips and tricks to help you out once the patch goes live. Now if you're watching this before the patch goes live though, this isn't one of the 10 tips, but you should do the first chapter of the Curse of Ula'Tek, because that is going to be necessary for you to start the new content. So if you haven't done that, get that done now. Check your quest journal and it should tell you how to get started with that. So onto the tips. The first tip is going to be don't ignore the prey content in Season 2. This is going to do multiple very important things for you, so even if you're not planning to do any preys, it is worth doing. Once the Season 2 questline goes live, I'm not too sure if that's going to be on patch release or on Season 2 release the following week. Whenever that is though, make sure you go through that quest chain, because once you're done with it, it's going to unlock a portal that will take you between Silvermoon and the new content zone. That is going to save you a ton of time from having to fly backwards and forwards, so definitely make sure you get that just for the portal alone. But not only that, completing the quest chain will unlock an entire new kind of difficulty for the Coiled Isle in itself. This is kind of like a mini hard mode for the zone, and while this is active, you'll gain the affixes of a nightmare prey. They're just going to be always active even with the prey not active. So while you're playing in the zone, you'll randomly have like circles underneath your feet that will slow you and deal damage, or there'll be snakes that appear that will explode, or you'll get ambushed. The benefit to having this active though is you're going to start gaining a new currency. These will be like these little skulls flounder all across the island, and there'll be a daily quest for you to do as well, which will give 100 of these kind of fragments. And once you have 100 of them, they can be used at an altar to be able to summon a mini boss. The boss itself is going to drop hero crests, champion crests, and have a chance at other kind of cosmetics such as mounts, pets, and decor. But not only that, as you progress through the Prey's seasonal journey, you'll unlock additional perks such as gaining more corrosive souls or corrosive coins, which we'll talk about more later. But if you're interested in that aspect, the kind of progression and collection, then this is going to be something of interest to you. And while we're talking about the prey journey, there's actually going to be something else quite important as well, especially for alts. If you can make it to tier 9 on the journey, then you'll gain the ability to find these tormented souls. They're going to come from tier 6 and above bountiful delves. And once you have a tormented soul, it can be used while doing a nightmare prey. And this will give you the chance of a bonus hero track equipment. You can only get one piece per week per character, but on an alt that you're trying to gear, you go do your bountiful delves with your keys, you're going to get these tormented souls. Now you can do nightmare praise and get even more hero gear. So that's really going to accelerate how fast you can get an alt geared up. This next tip will probably save you a ton of time, frustration, and your gold repair bill as well, as depending on how squishy your character is, the vaults of Ula'Tek are actually quite dangerous. The poison is going to be doing damage to you, and that is everywhere. And there's also a ton of mobs, especially if there's some kind of strike active that increases the mob count as well. There's going to be so many mobs everywhere. But there's a couple of ways you can make your life easier down in the vaults. And the first is getting the comfortable rider's barding. A lot of you have probably even forgot about mount equipment at this point. It was kind of forgotten about by Blizzard. But what this will allow you to do is not get dazed by mobs. And being dazed by mobs feels quite easy down here just because of how many mobs there are, how dense it is. And being dazed can actually be a bit of a death sentence. So make sure you do pick this up. It generally costs like 100 to 200 gold. Very cheap and will save you a ton of frustration. The other is fishing on the Coiled Isle in the Cursed Waters will allow a new fish to drop, and that will be the sulfurous sludge fish. And using this will have an effect specifically for the vaults. What this is going to do is reduce your detection range massively. And it'll last for 5 minutes, which can be extremely helpful for getting around the zone, or if you're trying to do certain events, etc. on the character that's not that strong, then this will save you because the range that it reduces your detection by is massive. As you can see here, the range where I'm normally detected is quite big, but once this is applied, I can basically get right into the mob's face before it even notices I'm there. So on squishier characters, undergeared characters or whatever, this will probably save time and frustration as well. And a bonus tip is that Zygor will be updated for 12.1. It'll assist you through the main quest lines, the side quest lines, and some of the new content like curse surges too. So if you're interested in that to aid you through the new patch, then check it out in the link in the description below. This next tip is around making some gold or gearing up your alt characters. And this is going to be around treasures. So the Coiled Isle will have default treasures that you can go around and collect, and these will unlock at Renown 3 with the new faction, which you'll get very early on. And these treasures have a chance of giving you Season 2 equivalent gear, blues and greens. So you can get green gear that you can sell or use, and you can also get adventurer gear that is upgradable that you can sell as well. Not only that, but there's going to be 2 additional treasures that you can unlock on the islands as well. And that is going to be at Renown 9, you'll get the Poor Unfortunate Trolls, which is going to give you the Unfortunate Scout satchels to loot as well. and these do seem to have a higher chance of giving you those green and blue pieces. And additionally, on the Altar of Corrosion, there will be an additional perk that you can get, which is Slivering Secrets. You now may recover decrepit keys from venom enhanced enemies that unlock hidden treasures throughout the Coiled Isle. So killing the purple flagged mobs while you have this perk active will give you a chance, it seems a decently high chance of getting a key. And then on top of the island on the Coiled Isle outside area, there's going to be these chests that you can use the keys on. They all seem to spawn in the same location, so you can just remember where they were and keep visiting them. And these seem to have a very high chance of giving you greens or blues. So I could definitely see people doing a mob farm in the vaults of Ula'Tek, farming out the corrosive coins and also getting these keys at the same time, and then going and using those keys on the chests. And we'll talk more about the Altar of Corrosion later, but there is a way for you to get towards that Slivering Secrets perk a little bit faster as well, by getting one of these secret perks unlocked. But something else worth noting, from the testing I've done, the previous zones have also had their treasures updated as well. So if the Coiled Isles ends up too contested, you can actually go back to some of the older Midnight zones and start looting their treasures as well, for a chance at these Season 2 greens and blues. And that brings us on to the next tip, which is another thing that's had its content updated, and that is going to be the field accolades that you got from ritual sites and void incursions. These are going to have updated Season 2 gear, which means the field accolades you can trade in, you can now purchase Season 2 veteran gear from these. It currently doesn't seem like your field accolades reset from Season 1 to Season 2 either, so if you were sat on a bunch of these, you can get yourself a bunch of new Season 2 veteran gear to get yourself some power. Otherwise, if there's still rewards, etc. that you need from these features, then you can go and farm them in Season 2 and be working towards gearing your characters and also finishing the achievements, collections, or whatever it is you still need from those at the same time. And in a similar sense, the gear rewards from the base Renown factions in Midnight have had their gear upgraded to Season 2 as well, and the quests have also been reset or made to be a separate quest. You'll have a new quest for you to do as long as you hit the Renown levels. They'll give you a Season 2 veteran piece. This will be a nice piece of power that you can pick up on undergeared mains or alt characters. Next tip is going to be your busy work stuff. Definitely don't miss out on going back to Silvermoon. The quests and weekly quests there are still going to be relevant to you. The dungeon quest will be updated to give reputation to the new faction that's coming in 12.1, and the weekly quest for like your spark fragment, etc. will be updated for Season 2 as well. And what I would recommend next, and the next tip, is to go through the campaign fully is the first thing you do, because a lot of these features, systems, areas, etc. won't unlock until you complete all of the available campaign chapters. So make sure that is your first priority. Even though it seems like things are starting to unlock, there's quite a lot of progressive unlocks through the later chapters as well, so make sure you get all of that done. There's going to be some more gold opportunities coming in the patch as well. You're going to have your typical kind of crafting for Season 2, but there's going to be some new things to craft. There's going to be new food to create, some new potions, etc. And a lot of them tie around these new systems, which are going to be cursed fishing and also cursed harvesting. When you've completed a cursed surge, you'll unlock like cursed abilities in the area, which allows you to do curse fishing and fish up various of the new curse fish added on the Coiled Isle. Or you can go to a herb and mining node, and if it's kind of venom inflicted, you'll be able to extract this venom from it. And this venom will be a new crafting reagent used in quite a few things, so especially very early on in the pack, this is probably going to be going for a good amount of gold. Not only that, but if you want to change your strategy entirely for the patch, there's good news as well, because there will be a profession reset NPC being added in Silvermoon, so you can head to that NPC and reset your professions, your profession knowledge at least, and respec yourself for whatever you want to do in the patch. Next up, I have some tips around gearing. First of all, the Great Vault will kind of unlock its ability to have progress made towards it in the very first week of the patch, meaning as soon as Season 2 is released on the following week, you'll be able to open up the vault and have a bunch of goodies ready to go. That'll mean getting your Mythic Zeros done for the dungeon slot to fill that out with champion gear, doing like praise and delves and world content for the world slot, and finally doing the new layer boss on the world tier difficulty, so you have one slot in the boss's slot also. Not only that, but the Great Vault will now have an option, if you've gotten at least 3 tracks completed, to pick up a bonus roll token. So if there's nothing you want in the vault, you can pick up a bonus roll, and similar to Season 1, that can be used in dungeons and raids, etc. And they've changed it so raids only need 1 of these now. So you have actually a pretty good pickup from the vault, even if there's nothing good in there. But it doesn't just stop there with gearing as well. They've actually made some changes to the catalyst, and now the gear that you put into the catalyst will directly turn into tier, keeping its current secondary stat. So if you have a piece with biz stats that's like mastery haste or whatever, and you put that into the catalyst, you'll now have a tier piece with mastery and haste as well. So do make sure you're trying to prioritize pieces that you put into the catalyst now that have those stats that you actually want on them. But there will still be these standard tier set pieces that just have default stats on them as well. So one of those pieces might have the stats that you're after. There will also be new effects that can come on gear as well, and you can actually transfer those over to tier pieces too, so you won't lose out by turning it into tier, which is very important. Additionally as well, don't really think too much on turning your gear into tier, especially early on, because the achievement to get more catalyst charges drop will still be there as soon as you get your 4-set bonus. So pushing towards your 4-set bonus as soon as possible is generally going to be the better play anyway. The next tips are going to be around the Altar of Corrosion, which will be a player power-esque system, although it's not going to work in raids or M+, but will work in the outdoor content and in delves as well. And the first thing I wanted to discuss was these hidden nodes. There's going to be 4 choice nodes that you can unlock that'll make your pathing a little bit easier. So I'm going to run through all the sources and answers for these kind of riddle items to unlock the nodes. The first one will be the Dispelling Charm, which is going to drop from a mob called High Priest Jintal, which you'll find over here. And once you have that item, you'll take it to the right side of the vaults of Ula'Tek. There's going to be a catacomb inside there. You're going to go all the way around it. And just before the last staircase, there's going to be kind of like an urn on a shelf that you can click on, and you'll get the first item that will turn in for the node. The second node will unlock from the Spirit Loop, and this is going to drop from an Ancient Foe. An Ancient Foe will spawn after you successfully complete an incursion, and for this you want to head to the Seal of Wrath, the upper section just before the raid. And on the right hand side will be a platform here. You want to jump onto it, use the item, and now you'll be able to loot the quest for the second node to unlock. The next node will unlock from the Corroded Key, and I had this drop from completing the central chamber during the Cursed Depth Strike. So it's the one with all the kind of like slimes and big slime golems. Once you have that, you want to go there to the right side of the Seal of Wrath. And just in the kind of toxic water here is going to be the chest that you can loot with the key. The final one will come from the Excising Knife, and this will come from the incursion that you've got to escort the wagon. Once that is successfully completed, you'll get the knife. You want to head all the way to the north of the Seal of Wrath. And there'll be an area that you can't really see very well on the map, but that will be the underbelly. You want to progress all the way around the underbelly until you get to this room with like a kind of central circle. And inside will be an eye, and you can use the knife on the eye. Once you've done that, you'll have all 4 of the choice nodes unlocked, giving you a lot more flexibility on getting to the points that you want to reach. The next tip is around the Corrosive Codex, and this is going to be some other player power that you'll get as well. It's going to give you additional power, and once again, this will work in delves, but not in raids or M+. And every 8 of these corrosive souls you get, you'll be able to unlock one of these perks, but you can only have one active initially, and when you've unlocked over half of them, you can unlock a second perk active at the same time as well. In terms of the ones that are considered the best, currently it seems like it's this Ophidian Maw, either the Insidious Venom, the Plague of Corrosion, the Accursed Poison, or Ula'Tek's Gift if you're able to min-max a poison on yourself. But the ones that you choose will depend on your gameplay and what you're currently fighting. For example, as I said, Ula'Tek's Gift won't be as effective if you aren't able to keep a poison going on yourself. Accursed Poison won't be as strong if you're not fighting things that could be interrupted. Plague of Corrosion loses a lot of value if you're not mass pulling things. So for general gameplay, Ophidian Maw and Insidious Venom are pretty good go-tos. The final thing I want to talk about is Renown Pushing. So when the patch comes out, you're not going to have access to all the sources of reputation, but you will be able to get quite a lot done. And the Renown perks have various things from gear unlocks to profession recipes. So once again, depending on your goal, will depend on how far in the Renown track you want to get. But you will be able to do the main quest line until the end point. It's not going to all be unlocked initially, but you will be able to get that quite far. You're going to be able to do as many of the side quests that are available as well. You'll be able to do the one-time lore items that are going to be scattered around. Those will give 250 reputation each. You're going to have all the rares to kill once, which will give 50 reputation. You're going to be able to put a contract on, and there will be a world quest bonus week active too. It doesn't currently look like the new faction will be added to the world quest bonus week, but just in case Blizzard does hotfix it or update it, it might be worth holding off on it for a couple of days. and then checking the NPC to see if that has been updated with the new faction. But with the contract on, doing all the world quests and the old world quests across Midnight will give you extra reputation. You're going to be able to do the treasures one time as well for some reputation. You can have various daily and weekly quests, and don't forget to check Silvermoon as well for the various event quests that will pop up and the dungeon weekly quests for you to do too. And when the season begins as well, you will be able to do bountiful delves for a chance at additional reputation from your bountiful chests. So if you're mainly after the profession recipes, you can definitely get to Renown 5 in the first week if you do all of those activities. And if you're really dedicated, you can probably get yourself to around Renown 7 or 8. So those are going to be all the tips for the patch. Hopefully now you're more informed and ready to make the most out of the patch once it launches. Outside of that, enjoy the new update. Look out for more content coming soon. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.